Oh my god, another one. Another one.
Hello guys, can you hear me? Sound check, sound check. All right, how are we doing guys? How's the week going? Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for the subscription bell blocked. I have some important updates today in today's stream that I think will please most of you guys. So let me give you an update on the current status. Obviously we collected feedback and the different types of issues and the most frequent issues for that affects most players. We've been collecting those and gone through them, and we have already done very good improvement or progression over those issues. Trebu, thank you for the gifts. So some of them, as you are aware of, that most likely you've been affected by over a period of time now. We have several areas in the world where pets, etc., struggle, get stuck, go under terrain, etc. We identified most of those areas, and we have done a change on the how the terrain works when it comes to pets and animals following, and that should hopefully be greatly improved in this upcoming patch. We also added additional tools for GMs so they can effectively help in various situations as well, including handling pets. Obviously we also got feedback on some of the decoration tables, etc., in houses and keeps that have been disappearing. So we've gone through that. We found main cause of this and have a fix for that as well. And we are going through the logs for those that have lost such items. We have also fixed the chests that were not supposed to be included in the houses that make some items go invisible. We have fixed that one as well, so we can take care of that. And also that you can obtain those invisible items. So those should be sorted in the upcoming patch. And our upcoming patch is scheduled for early next week. Hopefully if things go smooth on Monday, but if not Monday, we may be looking at Tuesday. So that is the current plan. And we also done major updates on the server side. As we know, we've been struggling hard with the capacity on main Mirlands. So we are gonna deploy the new update on the server, and we will also remove 2 alternate Mirlands along with this update. So players will be a little bit more concentrated back again on those that we keep. And we also identified one of the main bottleneck when we have a good capacity on main Mirland, and we see that, which have happened lately, when huge guilds and groups gather up and are running for a fight or something like that. That is the most biggest strain on the servers when they are located on a very close proximity around each other's, and also running around and fighting. That is a constant flow of data on the servers. So with that identified, when there are already a good amount of players pushing the capacity, we identified those peaks on the server, which results in latency issues, delay, lag, when player movement updates simply doesn't work normally. You see it very distinct when people just gliding or just warping all over the place without any proper smooth movement. So you recognize it very clearly when it happens. So that is obviously a very important fix that we finally are getting deploying. There's a few steps, but this first step on hopefully Monday will do a big improvement to have that threshold for larger group that can also clash pretty much without halting the server bottleneck in the way that it's been doing as of late. Along with that, we also have one quite important update that a lot of people have been looking forward to as well, which is we're adding a red priest close outside of every keep location. So every keep location in Maryland have tactical positions, and having one of those priests occupied close outside of these keep locations, that means anyone can use these priests, obviously, and obviously also the keep owners nearby. So that will give more options for players to get back home effectively and re-gear, resurrect. So we have that as well in this upcoming patch. So that is that. Let me see if there's anything else standing out. So we actually also have a new system for the dreadful slide bug, which have killed many horses. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about here, but you know those dreadful slopes, and you're sliding, and then bam, you break the legs. The horses dies easily, and you take high impact damage as well. So when you're sliding on a terrain, not until you stop sliding, that's when it can calculate the fall damage, which could be way too severe in those cases. So we have a new system in place for that as well, to pretty much secure horse mechanics when running around in the world. So that should be a bit of quality of life upgrade. Let's see if we have something else that is worth mentioning at this point. And yes, obviously some of the transition from one Maryland to another, we are aware of some of those issues that we obviously also are taking care of, to making sure that that can't be abused in a bad way. And also, as you know, it's the never-ending development area of this type of project, which is obviously cheating. That is something that we're always working on, which means we are always updating the tools, both from Epic Games and our internal tools. We appreciate when reports, when players report players. Obviously, that is a very effective way to identify and confirm, and so we can more effectively do our work there as well. So we've done several important updates in that system as well, and we have banned a lot of accounts as of late. And we are still going through some of that reaction of some of those accounts that have happened. So you can rest assured that we're working a lot in that area as well. And it's unfortunate, but it's necessary. You know, it's always a thing in these types of online games, and will most likely always be. So what's important is that we always have effective tools to be able to act as quick as possible and also clean up. So again, we are removing a lot of accounts that are simply breaking those rules. Why isn't anti-cheat catching these hackers? We are catching those hackers. Like I said, we are banning a ton of accounts. So there's a few things. Obviously, we don't want to reveal a few things what we do, and the same thing as AAC from Epic Games doesn't reveal information on their security system, and that is for the obvious reasons, right? The more information we give how some of these function works and how we work with it, the more clues we also give to those that want to abuse it. But like I said, there are different sessions where we do big wipes in terms of this. So that is that. And yeah, there's a few creatures in the world that simply isn't behaving at all as they should. They are either not attacking back or moving correctly, and that is due to a patrol system that we have been using for those creatures. And that means that we identified a bug in that, so we're disabling those patrolling paths for now, so they can at least behave normally, fight back and do those actions until we can make sure we fix the patrolling path functions as well and enable those again. So that is some of the world life encounter improvements. Next patch is planned for early next week. We are doing extensive testing throughout this weekend. Hopefully things will go smooth, and hopefully we'll be ready for Monday so we can deploy this and also shut down 2 of the alt servers, Milan servers. So that is the current plan. Let's see if there's anything else on my points that is worth mentioning right now. I think those were the main points that is a high prioritized order of that affects pretty much everyone more or less. So I think that is those points. So I could try to cover some questions if you have any as well. We can go through some of those. Let me see if we have any here that could be interesting for everyone to know as well. Is there anything in place for dealing with people spamming VoIP? Yeah, so that is one thing as well. I forgot to mention that, so thank you for that question. As you know, we've had quite a hilarious and crazy setup in terms of VoIP in multiple dimensions, right? And that is also, something we have fixed for the upcoming patch. So that means you will no longer hear people from the other dimensions. And that obviously makes things very much easier and effective for our staff to actually, see what's happening in front of them, and we'll be able to maintain and enforce the rules quite more efficiently as well, as you can imagine. So that is also one of the fixes in the upcoming patch. Regional pricing, you can buy Model Line 2 for the equivalent of $3 unsustainable for a full loot MMO. Are you going to change this? All the hackers are currently just buying new accounts for $3. So this is something we're working with Steam. They have measurement in place to make sure that you don't bypass their regional system. And they are obviously doing what's necessary and what's possible in terms of handling that. And like we've been in discussing with them at all times, obviously, depending on how that progression is working and how efficient that is, if new cases occur, we always have the options to go in there manually, also change pricing. So if we see anything that stands out of the ordinary and that they flag suspect behavior, we may be taking some different actions such as that. So we're following that progression right now as we speak as well, with Valve. Like that bug, you mean the dimension speaking? It was quite hilarious at some time, but obviously it can also be a little bit annoying if people didn't fully behave. So it needs to fix, obviously, right? What up, Henrik? Hope all is well and having a blessed day. Hip hop, thank you for that. And things are moving forward. We've been working very hard on this upcoming patch. As we always said before, we want to make sure that progression and action speaks for itself, and that you can see those steps moving forward is following in that. So we've been working very hard on getting this patch ready, and things are looking very solid so far on tests. And yeah, we remain very hopeful that things will continue in a smooth progression throughout the weekend, and hopefully you will be able to get it on Monday. Let me catch up a little bit. Clade re-spec, yeah, that is one of the upcoming features as well that we're going to enable. So we have one layer of, this is high importance, prioritized order. We need to fix these things because it affects a lot of players in a negative way. That is the first wave of focus we have right now to make sure we deliver that and get everything under control and people can enjoy all areas. After that, we have a follow-up on a few different areas. And the Clade re-spec is one of those functions that we want to enable in the right way. So yes, again, I don't have the exact time frame for it, but in one of our upcoming near patches, we will enable the Clade re-spec function. And it comes at a cost as well, so there's a tied money sink to it, which is a natural step to reset Clade points so you can re-spec them. Yeah, the vessel boss, we noticed, we got the reports that something made it behave strange, pretty much stopped working as intended. So we need to take a look on that one for sure, and hopefully get that fixed as soon as possible as well. I haven't really had the time to check with the team if they have identified it and done any progress or what the current status is. But yes, we are aware of, or at least I know that we got that on the list, that the vessel have a bad behavior currently. Pets, when are giving some love to pets? So like as I mentioned, there's a huge update when it comes to pets following stability in this next patch as well. So obviously we want to make sure that pets are reliable, follow mode and all that is stable and reliable. The worst thing that can happen is obviously when your pet gets stuck or goes under the world or something like that, and you have spent an effort in training those pets. So obviously we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And we're also giving the tools to our GMs to handle if that is the case still. So it's been a huge task to improve and secure that pets should now follow in a secured way all over the world. There's been very specific locations in the world where terrain and navmesh simply have been in a very bad state for the AI to follow the system. And that's when they went bananas pretty much. So we fixed all those locations in the world, and as I said, increased security additionally by also giving proper tools to be able to maintain pets. What's a contingency plan for shutting down the alt servers if things go bad on login, etc.? So as I mentioned, we are planning to shut down 2 of the alternate servers. So we still remain with additional 2 for this first step. And that is also to make sure that if something again unforeseen happens, we want to make sure that you have the option to continue play the game on one of these alternate servers. And then like as I mentioned, we have a very mapped out layout of the whole server bottleneck and structure right now, which we are working on, and there's several steps that will allow us to increase the capacity in larger step this time around, and this is one of the first big step that we're taking, and that is also to make sure that we have headroom for big battles, because big battles on top of a good amount of volume on the servers was kind of what that pushed us to hit the cap in various peaks of the servers. So we have identified that and greatly worked on improving that area. So there's a much higher overhead, so we can sustain big battles and big groups meeting up anywhere in the world. So that's been one of the big focus. Is your lore master guy planning to story to explain alt servers, or are going to try to build that into this history of the game? So as I mentioned, we're taking one very important step in terms of removing 2 of them. And if things goes as planned with our additional steps that we plan to do, obviously the plan is to remove all the alternate mirrorlands, only have 1 mirrorland, and then we're looking to deploy our next real continent, which is the real transition between those continents. So again, we are on the temporary solution that isn't the real world with 1 unique continent set up in the world. It is a temporary solution to make sure that everyone can at least play without sitting in queues. So we don't plan to incorporate new lore or build around to have more than 1 mirrorland. We still have room to allow a lot more players on mirrorland, and as I mentioned, we will have the real continents as well over time to replace any of the existing mirrorlands that is an alternate.
Oh my god, another one.
Crowfin with the gifts. Thank you. Thank you. And we have raised capes like in Model 1. I can't say for sure exactly. So we have additional amount of gear and capes to come for sure.
Oh my god, another one.
We will most likely rebuild and implement all of the old styles we had, and then we're going to continue on the list of additional styles, which is also Clade inspired and coming from their homelands. So it's just more of a matter of time and prioritized order of what our content is coming in the upcoming roadmaps.
Oh my god, another one. Another one.
And yeah, Whisper. I think Whisper was. I think Whisper was one of those fixes as well, if I'm not mistaken. So Whisper should be fixed in this one as well.
Oh my god, another one. Another one.
Roadmap updates. Not yet. So as I mentioned, we are still working on the high prioritized fixes, some quality of life and polish and the server capacity. As soon as we feel that now we are in those numbers, we have that under control, we removed those 80% of the most common petitions that annoy players. We want to remove those now as soon as we can. And then we will have the time to finally sit down to go through the roadmap, plan that, and iron out those question marks that are still a bit unsure until we have had those meetings. And as soon as that is confirmed, that's when we're gonna post the roadmap public, so you guys can take part of that as well. One color laminate armor added. No, I'm not sure yet when we will add more of those additional armor pieces. We will see how it looks down the road with the roadmap.
Oh my god, another one. Another one.
Thanks for the gifts, Grizzly folks. Henrik, are you guys going to be punishing the people duping items on demand? So yes, for sure. Like I said, the one of the number one enemy for us and the game is obviously when people are not following the rules, duping or cheating. And like I said many times, we take that very seriously, and we spend a lot of time into that and continue working on additional tools. And you know, as soon as we see a flaw or system where people are bypassing things, that is something we're working on actively, pretty much non-stop next to the normal development. It's simply how it's always been in online games, and will most likely continue to be at all times. So we always have to dedicate some time for that. So yes, we have different types of session where we go through different types of activities, both in the database and in player activity, depending on what are the causes. And like I said, we have been banning a lot of accounts lately, and you know, we continue working on that as hard as we can, as long as it's happening. How's Workbenches being fixed? Yes. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, some of the big fixes we've been doing for this patch is house decoration that have been going invisible. We have identified the reason for that, and we have fixed it. And so in the upcoming patch, which is planned for early next week, hopefully Monday, that's when that should be fixed. And our GMs, along with some of our developers, is also going through our logs and databases to make sure to help with those that have been real losses and not just invisible items, which is the common case with chest items in houses. So we're working on helping with that situation as well as good as we can. Can re-spec H in the future? You will be able to use alchemy. So just as you can change your height, you will be able to change your H. So the only thing that is obviously very important to get right from the beginning when you create a character is the Clade choices. As we don't really plan to allow changing a Clade in the game past, past Haven at least. So that is the big decision. What Clade are you going for? Everything else can be re-spec'd, re-changed over time in different ways. First time chat. Rand TGN. Henrik, I'm having a blast playing with friends right now. One of the best game I played in past 10 years. I'm very happy to hear that, and that obviously makes the whole team very happy. That is obviously the main purpose of why we are building this game. We strongly believe in Mortal Online. There is nothing like it, and the feedback and how new players have enjoyed the game so far have been just a blast to hear. And we're very happy to see that there's a growing audience and big interest in the game. So we're happy to hear that. Can I make any file server side rather than the client side? So yes, obviously we are working on that. It's not just a simple quick fix on our end, and it's not even something that Epic Games really have planned for or thought for when they built that part of the system. So yes, we are working on doing the right Mortal solution for that. And until then, we suggest obviously no one to change any files whatsoever, as that is against the rules. Only use in-game options and do not alter any files, and your account will be safe. If you alter any of those, there can be a risk of losing access to the account. We want to make sure that everyone plays on the same terms and use the same options as everyone else. Is there a plan to bring in Garmy mode for pets? That is in the plans, yes, to give a few more options that you can give to your pets. Yes, we are aware of the pet dupes, and that is something we have fixed as well. And we're going through the content as well and consequences to that as well. Remove 2 alt servers. So as I mentioned initially in the stream here update, on Monday, if everything goes as planned, we deploy this new next big very important patch with a lot of polish and improvement and capacity improvement, and along with that we also remove 2 of the alternate mainland servers. Thank you for the bit. So how you're handling some of the duped access. So obviously we have everything logged and going through all the data and content and see to make sure that we can take necessary action against that. So tied to everything that from a player that have cheated and broken the rules, obviously first step, banning those accounts, making sure there's no access anymore. And then we've been following up on that content, such as placing things on the market, making sure we can remove those. And also, we're also expanding on that to be able to track several steps where everything is, being moved and traded, etc. So we can make sure that we remove everything even further that is not only on that account. It's quite time consuming, but it is necessary, and that is something we are working on as well. So it seemed to take some time. So obviously that is one of the downside, that if someone had bought something with good intention, there may be changes happening over a certain period of time where there will be adjustments. But obviously, depending on involvement from different players, there will be an update on that. Got the ability to switch accounts without having to log out all the way out of Steam. Currently, we don't have anything that supports something else than that. As you know, we're working with Epic Games to launch the game also on Epic Games Store. That may be an option. You will be able to run a client with their platform similar to Steam, but we don't have any other support at this time. The Supreme. Are we be able to play in main server without the game crash and die cause of that? Yes. So obviously, as I mentioned, there's so what happened a few times, and that still happen, but that we have fixed until we have the patch. So obviously we want to push this patch as soon as we can, but at the same time we can't push that patch live until we have confirmed it's being stable and that we are ready to follow up on it. So we don't just do a patch for weekend and then trying to take the weekend off. And obviously if chaos hits, that will be bad for all of us. So But along with that, as I mentioned, we've done several updates and improvements on the server, which means that there's still a rare circumstance where a node can crash in a way where it doesn't start again correctly, and that could cause lag issues, and that have happened a few times over the week. We have finally identified why that happens and fixed it, but again, it needs the patch to be deployed until that is active. And unfortunately, we can't just patch that part at this point in time. So we need to hang in there until hopefully Monday only. And that's when we can deploy all of these fixes I have mentioned. When is the next content update be? So as you all know, right, we want to make sure that everything is stable and reliable before we start adding new content again in a greater pace. I think it's important for all of us. Obviously, it's not as exciting, right, to just have improvement and fixes, but I think that to make sure that the quality of the gaming experience overall is as high as possible and minimal interference by issues, and to make sure that GMs can also follow up and be very helpful. We want to reach that state, which we're taking a great leap towards that in this upcoming patch, and that will allow us to relax a little bit more. You can enjoy a more reliable game, obviously, and that's also when we can start working on upcoming content. Yes, along with this, you will see additional spawners being added every now and then. So a lot of things are connected when it comes to the server capacity, and we're progressing in certain areas, which also allows us to add additional wildlife in more areas. So that is something also slowly being developed in every or any updates in the upcoming. I can also move while shooting, but mages can't. That is the rules of ecumenical and spiritism. With other schools, you will be able to move. Just for instance, necromancy, our third upcoming school, allows you to move at the same time as casting those spells. So all spells have a very specific design and rule sets in mind, and also due to balance. And you have to play by those rules. And ecumenical and spiritism is you stand still, focus to cast a spell, while in many other schools you will be able to have movement, etc. We get above the lancing, seems too weak, endpoint intensive right now. So obviously there's going to be additional follow-ups on some tweaks and balance over time. We want to make sure that we do the right adjustment, and we also want to make sure that we don't nerf something in the round, mess up build for players. We learned that the hard way in the first game, and we want to make sure that we take very careful adjustments when it comes to balance. It is very easy or clear to us to see when something is greatly underpowered or never used, and we can see that the obvious reasons for those, and that's when obviously we have to do our job in trying to tweak the balance to make sure that it may become an optional, viable option for those that are interested in that. And Lance could be one of those that is somewhat underpowered and not really worth investing into currently. But like I mentioned, we want to make sure that we don't go all over the place at this point of time. Like I mentioned, we are still a quite small team. We need to be very careful in where we spend our resources and focus right now, and that it is on very important areas that affects most players as possible in a positive way. So we have, like I mentioned before, we have collected all the main things standing out that affects most players in a negative way, and we want to make sure we fix that, and then we'll take it from there. We have a very clear kind of like, we know these are the most common petition, for instance, the most common issue in the game that most people find negative. It's easy to spot those, and if we have something standing out by like 80%, imagine solving that one. That means 80% less petition. So we're working on that prioritized order right now to make sure that more players can enjoy the game without any of those issues. So I hope that makes sense. But obviously it's not as exciting to see those fixes. Of course, we want to reach new ground with additional content and areas which we have planned, right? And that are on the upcoming roadmap. But I think it's important that we have some patience here and get these things nailed down so we can all have a more reliable situation and enjoy the game. And then we will continue adding more content and stuff in the game as well. Yeah, buy orders is one of those very convenient quality of life functions, right? So, and like I mentioned before, most part of that system is finished and ready because we knew that that is a system we want and need early on. It's just that some of the ending points to really finish it is on some of the guys' table that are simply totally busy with the current highest critical or prioritized issues. But as I mentioned, as soon as that is delivered, working, and we can relax in that area, that's when we also can go over those small but very important high quality of life functions that we all will benefit from. So we simply need a little bit more time, and then we will cover a lot of those small things but very wanted things. What about Unreal 5? Any add on that? So it is one of the big thing that is in the upcoming roadmap. Again, we haven't had the time, unfortunately, yet to go through the exact details of that project. More than that, we know that we need and want to take the step, and it's also because of some of the improvement that we will get in the game, such as level streaming areas in the game will be more efficient in the new engine. So obviously that is a big improvement for the game overall when running around in this huge open world. So there are some of those areas that is obvious improvement for the game that we can't improve further without actually stepping over to Unreal 5. But like I mentioned before as well, one of the very important steps or things with taking that step, when we do commit to Unreal 5, there's no going back, right? So that means we need to make sure that performance is solid and reliable, and we don't, make performance worse than it is already. That is obviously an important thing. We all know that we're quite happy with the overall performance right now. The FPS is decent, and obviously it is very good when it comes to large scale player population on the screen. So it's more actually level streaming areas, some areas of the game world, such as some cities, that simply needs optimization improvement. But yeah, other than that, we want to make sure that there's a whole new lighting and shadow system and how you build the world in Unreal 5, which is pushing things to the next gen. It makes it look amazing if used correctly. But it's also, some of these areas are actually quite demanding on hardware and new hardware. So that is also why we want to make sure that that either that we may be able to give the options for the end users depending on your hardware, if you can support it or not, if the performance is good enough or not, or if we need to disable some of the functions in Unreal 5 while we are continuously working on improving or optimizing those areas. It's a new engine. There's not much games out there running on Unreal 5, so it's early on in Engine 5, and obviously we haven't had enough time to master everything or go through everything or test enough to know exactly where we stand performance-wise. So, but it is one of the big and important points on the upcoming roadmap. So again, when we've had that meeting more in depth, we should be able to reveal more where we stand time-wise as well. Jonah on your payroll. No, we don't pay any streamer at all in our game. If you want to stream the game, then we appreciate it, and we do our best in supporting you as a streamer to, reach out to people. You'll be able to post it on Discord and get more visibility. And we're also looking into additional program in the upcoming future where we can continue to promote streamers that obviously promote us back. But currently we are not paying anyone to talk about our game or play our game or stream our game. That is obviously up to anyone that want to do that. But obviously we appreciate that greatly because it's a very good way to make awareness of the game and show the game for new players and such. So yeah. Is roadmap being published? No, not yet. We're not done with the roadmap. We need a bit more time until we'll be able to update the roadmap on the website. Domination will get attention as well as soon as these, as I mentioned, what we call high prioritized main issue areas being solved and fixed. That's when we go back to several of those small but very important things such as re-spec, Clades, Domination, buy orders. Those three are some of those important functions for the game, and most of the part is already there. We simply have to go through why they are not enabled yet for the different reasons. Given a time frame for TC patch, so we implement real player cities. Again, it's too early for me to speculate the upcoming roadmap content. It would be quite impossible for me to estimate what we're talking about time-wise. But we know that TC housing obviously is the upcoming content and patch for housing in TC is expanding on more tools for houses and keeps, more options, and obviously the TC part in detail, which means new structures and new NPC services, which obviously will promote a player-driven city even greater with many tools similar to a NPC city. So we are fully aware of and have that on the high prioritized order on the roadmap. But at this point, again, since we haven't really gone through all those points in detail and see that the schedule works, it fits for the team we are, it would be bad for me to guess dates at this point of time. So we simply have to wait until we had that meeting, and then you will see the roadmap being presented on our website. So I hope that makes sense. Can we transfer houses? You will be able to get additional functions on the house, such as friend, co-ownership, and transfer a house owner. So yes, there will be some convenient tools options as well in the upcoming roadmap patches. Implementing banks and keeps. We won't allow the bank service in keeps, but what we will give is additional tool sets and ranks when it comes to housing keeps, chest, ownership ranks, so players will be able to effectively maintain their friends and guilds access for the different parts of the house or keeps. When it comes to bank services, that is one of the services from TC structure. So that means you can actually construct a bank in your city, and you will be able to hire a banker service, very much similar to how they are in NPC cities. So that will give you that bank service, and you will be able to set rules that this is a public open bank, or there may be different rules set. There could be a guild owners only access. I fixed missing paths in alternate millers. Yes, so in this upcoming patch, we have fixed several of those issues. As I mentioned before, house chest items going invisible. We're retrieving those again, fixing that bug so it doesn't occur anymore. Furniture, workbenches, etc. in houses and keeps that have disappeared. We have identified and fixed that bug as well. So we have a very important patch next week, hopefully Monday, that will take care of a lot of these issues. That is the absolutely most common petition or issue for most players. So it should be a very, very good patch coming on Monday. Will you add AMD's FSR for people who do not have the DLSS capable GPUs? Yes. I'm actually gonna reach out to AMD, and hopefully I get a contact person there that may be able to kind of assist in a similar way as NVIDIA have done. And depending on the support in Unreal Engine and that type of work, hopes are that will also be natively supported in an efficient way without putting a strain on our developers that needs to do additional work. Because if that is what it comes down to, it's not really an option for us right now. As you can imagine, we have more important areas to attend to first before adding additional support for various types of cards. But hopefully AMD will have that coverage within Unreal Engine as well. That will greatly simplify things for us when it comes to supporting stuff like that. So hopefully in a near future. And are you Danish? No, I'm Swedish. Close enough. Ipu. Humans are currently underpowered as far as combat clades. Will we see changes implemented? We are actually very happy with the overall balance we managed to achieve within all the clades. And I think that 98% of our current population agrees. So we've managed to get a very good balance. There is something exciting for all clades, all the gifts, and obviously they have their pros and cons, and that is by intention. But it's not that we feel that something is greatly underpowered or greatly overpowered and we need to work on it and focus on it. It is actually in a very good position, and I don't think it's time to right now steer things around in that area, since there's really no incentive or reason to do it. But like I said, there in the future, we obviously, there are additional things that we want to add, and in some cases refine as well. There could be, there's some Clade GIFs, for instance, that is not fully operational for various reasons currently, that obviously will be soon as well. But we don't plan to greatly rebalance or change the Clade GIFs, because we're actually very happy with how balanced they are, and people are really enjoying all the differences. So we're happy about that. And chance lower the volume of refining furnace. It is really loud. I guess it is. I haven't really noticed, but yeah, I mean, sure, there's room for tweaks and polish such as just as that. But like I said, right now we have a very clear prioritized order of things before we can continue on that list. But I'm sure eventually we will have some tweaks in that. What are plans to stop pet griefing in guarded towns? So obviously, if you hit a pet in a town where there are guards, that means they're losing standings. They become criminal and gets killed. And when they lose standings in that city, that means eventually they won't be able to walk there at all. So as long as you kind of keep track of your animals and keep them away from long distance ranging arrows or something like that, keep track of them, and make sure that guards can react if someone want to jump them. There's a consequence to losing standings by that criminal act. How can I, as a player, help support smooth development? Faded Steel. I mean, you guys are already doing an amazing job when it comes to supporting us, playing the game, enjoying the game, giving feedback, reporting bugs, reporting issues. That is, everything you can do to help and support. And obviously the rest is up to us to make sure that we fix those potential or different issues in the game, and make sure that everyone can enjoy the game even better and better over time. And also, we will slowly get into where we add also more and more content over time. So obviously, as we mentioned, it's not, obviously super exciting when we are kind of standing a little bit still in terms of content and features. Many of you guys that have been here throughout the beta have seen our very impressive delivery in terms of new content and features. But, we are in a release state now, which means we need to be careful and do everything we can to make sure that the gaming experience and quality is as high as possible. And since we have run into some, issues with server capacity, the login issue we had, and some issues or some bugs that occur with the alternate servers that we had to deploy without really have. It wasn't really our plan to deploy additional Mirlands, so we really had to work day and night to get that solution quickly. But obviously, along with that very hard work that wasn't really by intention and plans, it is, there's room for mistake to happen in terms of bugs occurring. And that is what we've seen a little bit when it comes to, for instance, pets moving between them. So that is something obviously we had to follow up on. So we've been 100% working on receiving all the petitions, all the reports from you guys, and devoting all our resources in solving those issues as quickly as we can. So that put pretty much all the exciting parts on hold, unfortunately, but I think it's necessary. and I think that you guys also see why it's necessary, even though we would love to throw in a lot of cool content right now, new cool content, but I think it's worth and important that we do take some time now to make sure that we get these last pieces in place before we can continue on the normal work schedule with additional content and features. Invisible weapons, yes, that is one of our bugs reported. We thought we had it fixed in the beta. We did some fixes to it, and we didn't hear anything more about it. But yes, we have confirmed and even seen it a few times now. So it's for sure happening in certain cases. Faded Steel, as you asked, is there anything that could help to smoothen this out? So obviously, if you manage to reproduce an invisible weapon case, that is extremely helpful for us. Obviously, we won't ask you guys to do any of that, for us, obviously, because it's a released game. Even though we haven't enabled subscription time or started the free time, obviously we don't want to demand anything from you when it comes to playing the game. That's up to you how you want to play and spend your time in the game, right? But if someone knows how to reproduce the invisible weapon case, that is very helpful, because it takes a lot of time for us in the team to try to reproduce a bug that are simply very rare and we can't simply reproduce it. So that is something that obviously we appreciate greatly if someone managed to figure that out, because then we can very quickly fix that bug and be done with it. Hidden weapon bugs seems to be linked to taking out weapons while doing another action like dismounting. That could very well be the case. The problem is we haven't managed to reproduce it. None in our test group have managed to reproduce it, and just going through the codes, we can't really see where it could go wrong. So it's one of those tricky ones. It's rare, no one really knows, and I don't just want to tell, for instance, Sebastian to spend all your time in trying to fix it, and he have no clue where to start. I mean, should he start rewriting codes to secure it? Because sometimes there's very strange cases where things shouldn't go wrong, but could go wrong because of different parts of the engine. So it's a tricky one, but like I said, if any one of you guys manage to figure it out, that will be very helpful if that is the case. But yeah, we have it on the list for sure, and we try to get testing cases on it to see if we can solve it. Can allow murders in dungeons. So there are a few things that is happening as well in our upcoming roadmap content patches, which is unlawful, lawless zones in the world, which means it is almost like nullsec in EVE Online. So that means anything goes. There's no reporting, no flagging rules or murdering report or anything like that. There will be several areas in the game world where that is the case. So if you enter those areas, you know that you enter at your own risk. There's no law, no flagging or any security whatsoever. So that means if you kill or get killed in that area, there's no consequences to it at that time. So that is something that is being added as well, along with some of the content updates, along with update on roadmap. Just fought a bandit who with no sword. Don't know if that is helpful at all. I mean, what can be very helpful, as I mentioned before, is that if you manage to, it's quite a complicated case. It's not that, you quickly and easily identify why someone may be swinging with an invisible weapon. If it was easy, then obviously we would have fixed it already. So obviously we are trying when we do our test cases that We're trying everything from, moving out and in from our interest list in different states. There's a high chance there's a combination tied to this. Change animation state along with the different range states when you load in the different states. So, but we're not sure yet. And, anything goes as good as, our guess is as good as your guess in this case. So if you figure it out by playing around with it, then, feel free to reach out and we will be very grateful to have that one solved. Sharing houses is impossible right now. How much longer until we actually utilizing housing with friends and guilds? Yeah, so as I mentioned, we know that we want to add some of those tools that makes it much more user-friendly for you to enjoy with friends and guilds. And that is on the roadmap when it comes to new content and functions. So as soon as we're done with the polish, the fix patches we're working on right now, the capacity and servers, that's when we will continue proceeding on those features and options. So again, it is in a near time frame. I just can't right now mention the exact date until we've had those meetings and actually confirmed, okay, this is the roadmap. We're happy with that schedule, and we can share it with you as well. Doing anything to identify loading times, you can't identify whether a player is a friend or foe. Yeah, we know. We have got that feedback as well a lot from all of you guys, and we're fully aware of it. And I can only explain that it's related to one of the capacity issues on the main servers. So there's no room for us to really change that currently until the capacity and headroom for players is on a proper level. That's when we can also start tweaking those range numbers. So it's in that order. It will follow up after we have improved the capacity. And one of the big step in this, hopefully is the plan on Monday already, when we plan to patch this big update that I mentioned. Statement about duping issues going on with horse. So yes, we have fixed that issue. We are aware of that there are cases where animals, pets can dupe when you move from one alternate to another. So we have fixed that issue, obviously, and we're going through logs as well to take a look under the hood to see what's necessary action to take as well. But obviously we want to make sure we're fixing the bug first of all. And that is one of those things, as I mentioned, when adding the instance in real land, that wasn't really the plan. We were afraid of that it could bring some of those situations, which we have now identified and fixed, finally, at least. Can I get my starter Soulbound torch back? I'm afraid not. When you have lost it or it got destroyed, you can't get that one back. You have to buy a new one, but that won't be Soulbound, unfortunately. Can we shrink the gear stats disparity gap between highest tier gear and average gear for more skillful competitive wearing? It's that is obviously a very personal view from everyone in the community. How powerful should something be compared to gear, damage, defense, and then player skills that gets fully involved in all these aspects. And it's a very difficult thing when it comes to balancing this, because again, we all have completely different views on how it should be, and depending on who you ask, it's either too high, too low, or perfect. And we try to find a good ground that kind of fits what we're aiming for in terms of we want to make sure that player skills, teamwork, and knowledge is always king. And we think that that is the case. Those three ingredients is king when it comes to success in Mortal 9 in a wide scale. Obviously, we want to make sure that it's worth investing, getting high tier materials that takes a lot of time to produce and maybe very expensive, a lot of skill investment, time investment to get these pieces. Obviously, we want to make sure that there's enough value behind it. There's a small bonus to wear this. And it's up to the player to determine, is it worth going out in Crow Knight? Do I afford to lose it or not? And I think that we have found a very good balance when it comes to that. And obviously, a lot thanks to Mortal 1. So we have used all that data over 10 years to see how that have been playing, reading the data, and try to, again, refine that an additional step in Mortal 2. And, data and feedback are pointing that we are on a pretty good level. And it's, at least following along with the vision we have for the game when it comes to player skills matters, knowledge matters, and obviously it should be worth spending time, or why would I use steel weapons or Crow Knight weapons, for instance? And as soon as we have changed these numbers where people don't use it, they say it's not worth it, it's a waste, or when people say the opposite, it's only this, nothing else, that's when it's more clear for us that we are a little bit off balance. Right now we see a very good, again, wide variation of the different tiers, and we also see people that are practicing and good at the game and do very good teamwork and communication. They are also, in most cases, the most successful when it comes to different player encounters. So the overall picture is that we are quite happy with where we're standing right now. So I hope that kind of give you a response on where we are right now, at least. And then again, I fully understand that there will always be someone that doesn't agree, and that is unavoidable, as in many other areas when it comes to Mortal 9 balance, features, etc. The thing about players deleting the gear when they see the encounter or losing fight. Yeah, obviously cheap tactics, right? And just deleting gear on the run is quite unnatural. So it's something that we plan to revisit. So there's a few measurements where you can't just delete something again, cool down on that. And also, one of the obvious thing would be that rather than deleting something, you will be able to drop it on ground, right? But due to a lot of performance and costs, we haven't been able to take that step yet because of the obvious reasons. Having crap all over the world will obviously take a lot of performance from different parts, both from clients and the servers. And we're not really in that position where we have the luxury to start adding those functions. But yeah, I agree. It's ugly tactic, but obviously effective one. So we have a plan to revisit and work on that one for sure. But like I said, we need some time to have a proper system in place for it so performance works. I don't know if you played Ultima Line, but back then people were, when they had crap, they just throw it out on the ground, and it ended up being severe server lag and client lag. So they started with this cleanup program where you got benefit from throwing trash in bins, etc. So there's a reason for all these things, and obviously we want to make sure that we don't kill unnecessary performance when we need all the performance we can get so far to the actual players. Increase capacity, get more players on main VLANs, shut down the alternate ones, and also have enough headroom to make sure that whenever a big group clashes or a big group meets up, we want to make sure that performance is smooth also in that case. So we need to take it in that order. Yes, we have done updates to Whisper, so Whisper should be working in this upcoming patch as well. Are you going to remove duped items? Yes, we are working on removing both, obviously, the counts, making sure we get those permabanned, and we follow up on all the data in-game as well. Can we go back to when you switch weapon, you don't have to unsheath again? Yeah, I see the the convenient factor of not having to press X again. We need to look at the proper change system where you change the weapon without having to go back and forth in an annoying way. So yeah, we need to make that transition smooth. I know exactly what you're talking about. That I was thinking about myself when I was playing here a few days ago. That that can for sure be more a smooth step. Getting one shot by highest tier gear is grind to win, not competitive PvP. So, if you're naked, then yes, you're supposed to be able to be one shot by something dangerous, or, close to that at least. But as soon as you have any protection, that's when that greatly gets reduced. Obviously, you can still be very vulnerable when it comes to having clothing or light armor, depending on what the impact is. But, those are the extreme factors against each others. I'm talking about the overall picture. Then we are very happy with the overall balance when it comes to player skills and knowledge is rewarded with great success over, grind for levels, skills, and items. We are able to use a bow to block. That is a repeating question. And like I said last stream, I see that it makes sense that you can actually block with your bow, but also obviously it makes sense that it breaks quite severely when doing so. So I just think that we need time to visit that function and say, yes, we can allow you to block with it, but obviously you will be losing a lot of durability when you're trying to block a sword hit with your wooden bow or graphite bow, whatever it is, right? So, but yeah, I think it makes sense. So, depending on where that goes in our long prioritized order list of things, I would say. And then we're going to launch another meta campaign for the game once all server issues are sorted. I would like to see the Steam review climb back to positive fast. Steel Blade, yes, very good question, and for sure. So the thing is, as you may know, we had a lot of work planned for the release phase. We had a release trailer, I would say one of our best trailer we ever done, to help promote and make awareness of the game. And yes, we had a lot of marketing activities, obviously, that we started on release. But as soon as we saw that, okay, now we have severe issues on the login capacity servers. We have major issues we need to sort and solve as soon as we can. And when we identify that, that's when we reached out to Valve to see how do we handle this situation in the best possible way. And we obviously also stopped all those marketing events to make sure we don't push in additional players on top of the, the normal in the so-called shadows. So yes, so this is our plan, right? So Monday is a big patch for us. It's a very important thing for us to deploy because both it removes like 80% of the most common petition and issues that affects most players of the game, so we can get that in place. And one of the big thing is the server capacity, where that also allows us to remove 2 of the additional million instances. We have very important fixes on the servers and in the game. So again, we're gonna obviously follow this very closely to see where do we stand with this next patch. And as soon as we feel that, all right, now we don't have those 80% petition from the majority of people that this is affecting them in a negative way, that's when we plan to do a new run on making awareness, marketing the game, and push again harder to attract more players. Because just like you said, obviously everything slowed down since we paused all that, which means reviews is also slowing down naturally. What is quite positive, I think, which is quite amazing, again, our game has been one of the few Steam games that is actually going minus in the negative reviews on Steam. And the only logical reason for this is obviously that people are revisiting their Steam review and changing it from negative to positive. And by very obvious reasons, when login was a pain, pure hell, people couldn't even play the game, naturally gave it a bad review. So, again, we're super grateful and happy to see that more and more people are revisiting review and changing it, basing it on the game experience rather than a login queue, never moving pretty much. So that is a positive thing. So again, before the login queues problems, we had a review around 80% on Steam, which is very positive for this type of game. A lot of people didn't think that this type of game, it's quite hardcore, it's, difficult rules. Many people wouldn't think that, a lot of people wouldn't accept it or enjoy it, or that it would be able to get very good rates because of, the nature of what people think about the game. But what surprised us was that we actually peaked 81%, and that is so much higher than Lost Ark, New World, almost any other MMORPG on Steam, which is, blown our mind away. We didn't expect that. And it didn't stop. It slowly continued moving over 81%. So, that was very exciting for us. And it just showed that a lot of people are finding it and enjoying it. There's no doubt, right? So obviously, unfortunate that we had a struggle with the login chaos, and it took a little bit too long than that we would hope to fix it, obviously. So that meant that all those new players gave it a bad review naturally, and it crashed very quickly. But very quickly after we fixed the login issues, we have seen a steady climb in the reviews again. So just looking at the average on a daily basis now, we're back to 70 to 85 even percentage of positive reviews, which means, in a few days, weeks, we should be back on positive. And if we just continue again, and hopefully a few more we get, go back and, hopefully revisit their review, basing it on the game. That's all we want, right? Then if they like it or not, that's a different story, right? But obviously basing the review on the actual game rather than not getting into the game is what we're hoping for. You fixed login issues. Yes, we did. So we really hope that, everyone that got a little bit burned by those days, find the energy to try it again and revisit and hopefully update the review on the actual game. So I'm quite confident that we will reach that positive range again. It's just a matter of time. Obviously, it's slowed down now when things are, marketing, everything is pulled down until we feel more ready for the next gear. So yeah, as soon as we have these patches in place and we feel that, okay, now we're back on track, we can handle more capacity and the major issues or bugs that have been pointed out have been fixed, that's when we put it in second gear. We push additional marketing rounds and visibility rounds on Steam, and we will also release the game on Epic Games Store. So yeah, we're expecting a new round of flood of players, and hopefully obviously that will also help pushing reviews faster than the slower pace we have right now. So we feel very confident in the team that it will be a completely different story if that wasn't the case. If people were basing the game giving reviews based on that they simply don't like the game, they don't enjoy the game, that would be a completely different story. That would be very much a bigger challenge for us to how would we work with that? How would we be able to move forward in a positive way if people don't, or the majority doesn't enjoy the game? That would be much tougher. So it's like a positive problem, I would say, that we're facing when it comes to, it's just a matter of patience and time to get back there again. Have we started a subscription timer? No, we haven't, and that is because of the reason I mentioned. We feel that we need to get the capacity in order. We need to get these top petition fixed that affects most players in the game. So and as I mentioned, we have a patch planned for Monday if everything goes as planned, and hopefully that will solve a lot of those main issues that I think affects most of the players. Amazing game, 80% is well deserved, just have some issues to overcome. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, that was a very pleasant, exciting surprise for us that it was still going up when we peaked 81% before the chaos. And and that was normal pre-purchase. Majority of players had never heard about Mortal Online, so it was real numbers, real evaluation from people that came with fresh eye, had no clue about what the game was all about, and a lot of them enjoyed it, and that was just awesome to see. So yeah, we feel very positive that we will get back there. It's just a matter of time. If we're looking at, like I said, the average right now, between 2-3 weeks, we are most likely looking to be around the positive rate again if it's continuing in this normal rate or a little bit slowed down rate compared to when we are more in the visual parts of the Steam and marketing. Thank you for your time, and all. Have a good night. Have a good night, Bob and World. I wonder how many of these positive comments come from SV employees. Do you mean on Steam reviews? There's a few thousand, right? And as you know, we are 30 people in the team, and obviously all developer account also doesn't affect at all any reviews or countings. So that is just text, words. It doesn't add to any numbers. Add a minimum loyalty when putting horses on broker. Yeah, I mean, we will see when it comes to additional, I mean, we read all feedback and read the data. What's going on in the game? Is there anything that is going a little bit out of control or simply isn't following what the intention is? As we mentioned many times, we want to make sure that we build a game that is minimizing apparent griefing mechanics or things like that simply just makes it bad and boring in different areas. And that has always been a huge challenge when it comes to a complex sandbox game like this, which is supposed to be completely free and open. People enjoy different things and want to do different things. But obviously there's a line where it becomes a little silly or, just pure grief mechanic or situation where it doesn't give anything good for anyone. And that is obviously, like we mentioned before, something we want to minimize and avoid and remove as much as possible without interfering with the real freedom of the game. But I think there's quite a clear difference. So obviously that is something that we are always keeping our eyes on to see what can be done here or what can be improved or changed to make sure that it promotes a more meaningful and fun experience rather than a bad experience for the majority of the players. So we're trying to read as much of that as possible as well to see, what may be necessary for us to do. When will our roadmap be published? So yeah, I think that, so we should have a roadmap published. We should be on track. And that's also when we can say that, okay, we start the free month that everyone got when buying the game. So that means, you know, you have the stability, those main issues should be solved. And we should have a roadmap also to see, okay, now we are back on track. These are the things coming around the corner. These are the things that are more on the long-term roadmap. So everyone is, you know, up to date on what's going on in the Mortal universe. Next packs fix the disappearing crafting tables. Yes, finally we have solved some of those annoying ones. Can you share the roadmap? We will as soon as it's confirmed. We need a little bit more time before we will publish it on the website. I switched my negative review to a positive one. I hope some of the major bugs get fixed soon. Thank you, note me down. And you know, as I said, we really appreciate when anyone wanna revisit the game after the rough login chaos we had, and actually judge the game based on the gaming experience rather than the login issues. So yeah, we appreciate anyone revisiting and, you know, helping us moving forward. I'm looking forward to changing my review. We are also looking forward to that. Thank you. We won't ever be able to change our race, right? Currently, we don't plan to allow players to change the race in the game. And, you know, it's also because of the obvious reasons where reputation matters. You know, you become famous for this Thursar with this name and this reputation, these skills, and whatever you do in the game, right? And if you could change name or race on the fly, that would kind of, you know, interfere with that one world, one reputation logic. So at this point, we don't plan to allow race changes. You know, we may give some option on Haven so people can play around there, try a little bit more efficiently and change. And then when you feel this is what I'm going for, that's when you leave Haven, and that's when you also stick with that race. That could be an option to, again, try to help new players to get a feel for and try around before they really commit. But yes, everything else can be changed, like age, height, the skills, all that can be changed. But the Clade should be one of those, and obviously the name should be something that you need to consider and commit to, so you can mold that reputation in the world and become whoever you want to become, right? Needs to be a roadmap for the community. Yes, we will push the roadmap on our website as soon as we have confirmed it and nailed it. And spending all his free time making positive Steam reviews. Yeah, right. That will be effective. No, I mean, obviously they have a clever system that is logic that is in place. There's no way for us to change or alter anything of that. It should be a just legit system, which, you know, the players are in charge of writing reviews, giving their feedback. That's simply how it works. Despite some bugs, I'm absolutely loving this game. Can't wait to see the future of it. Demonic Vortex, thank you. And yeah, I mean, it's so awesome to see so many new players showing up in a game that never heard about the game. And you know, we always thought that even though we try to simplify the first gaming experience, or how to get into the game, feedback, user interface and all that, we always struggle a lot with how do we get a new player actually get into the game and give it a chance to see the depth of it, rather than just, you know, in 1 minute see the fight in the graveyard and base things, you know, judging things based on that short experience. Because what a lot of people in the beta forgot was it is also an RPG game, right? Many people are feeling that, wow, it's like first person, it's real time, so it should therefore also play like, Mordhau or any other action game, which means you think that you are instantly fighting as as expected from minutes one. We even noticed that when Asmongold was trying it, right? He was instantly struggling with that, and many thought, not only him, that you were running slow, swinging slow, and so on. And obviously that is a challenge, because we still want to make sure it's an RPG game, right? With progression, and you feel rewarded, you feel better and better, and notice that difference. We did speed things up quite a lot, and we made sure that progression was faster because of that mass feedback where people simply couldn't get past that easily. So it's been a challenge to try to refine those steps, and also to give a good chance to introduce new players that never played this type of game before or don't have a clue what it is, to actually get into the game and figure things out, and then get a good taste and desire to go deeper and play more. And it's been just awesome to see so many players without hearing about Modern Online before that is going straight into it and becoming really good, adapting and learning. I guess it's also, today's gamers are, good players in terms of many gamers have played a lot, and they tried a lot and have more experience, I guess, and got into the game. And we've been impressed to see so many new and casual players finding their way in and simply becoming good at it and learning the depth of it. And it's awesome to see that is working. A lot of new players are simply getting into the game without too much struggle, which was pretty much a nightmare in the first game. It was almost impossible to get into it. So it's really nice to see that completely new players on a daily basis find their way into the game and enjoying the game. And that is awesome to see. And obviously that is also why we have such a high passion that this is going to be exciting in the future. This is going to be big, as many of you guys have been pointing out as well. We just need to, get these steps in place and continue working hard, moving forward. And this is going to be an exciting Sandbox game for many years to come, no doubt. But Asmongold is not a MO2 player. No, he said that himself. He's not a first-person player, first of all, which obviously is a tough one. But yeah, I mean, he's quite open that he's more looking for casual theme park games that is working for his kind of audience as well. Him jumping in Modern Line on Milan, I could just suspect what kind of chaos that could cause, right? So, I mean, that is quite, understandable. But it's quite cool to see we got gamers like Lyric that is, have a huge followers as well. And, he's a really good player, gamer, Lyric, and he also is really good at FPS games. And he was having a blast in Modern Line, and he was really giving everyone entertainment on a high level. So that was a blast to see as well. So yeah, we hoped that, when we hit the next round, that some of these big streamers that enjoy the game and are interested in the game, there's a few, and I think Summit and what was it, Shrod, that maybe I heard that they may be able to actually enjoy this kind of game that demands a little bit more from you. It's a little bit more hardcore, right? And more challenging. And hopefully they will visit the game in any time in the future and give it a fair chance to see what it has to offer. Hopefully. The next patch fix this is items disappearing for house chests. Yes, that's one of the fixes. Sorry that I'm late, Henrik. What did I miss? Ducks. You missed quite a bit. So I guess you have to read recap or highlights, because yeah, I covered quite a bit already. If you have any marketing, again, reach out to Summit to play this. It will love the game. Lukewarm soups. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, the Summit may be one of those that actually can enjoy this type of game. And yes, he is a big streamer, a lot of followers, so he can actually make an impact, I believe. So hopefully it will be interesting in trying the game. Like I said, I don't want to push too much right now, as you can imagine, when we still are working very hard on the main server capacity. We want to make sure we have it under control. So if anyone like Summit joins in and brings an army and you want to have a big battlefield, obviously we want to make sure that that battle is lag-free, right? Just as it been when we don't reach the cap, as I know many of you guys have been experienced throughout the whole beta and having a blast. That is obviously what we need to make sure we can deliver at any time, day, night, with all the capacity we have on Milan. So I want to reach that now as fast as we possibly can. And like I said, on Monday, I have very high hopes that we're taking a very important big step towards that. And as soon as we see that, all right, we're good, we will start the next round of marketing. And yeah, we will see if Summit or any of those streamers would be interested in trying it out. Does Domination work as intended on young Minotaurs? No. That is one of the things that we will follow up on very soon as well. There's a few things along with those skills that needs an update. Summit wants to play it, but everyone told him to hold off for now. That is actually good, lives. So I'm actually happy that you guys told him to hold off for now, because yeah, like I said, most people that have a busy streaming schedule may not have the luxury to revisit if they don't know what kind of game it is or they haven't tried it before. So I think that's a good thing that they may be holding off until we feel that we are on track. That's correct. Shred often plays Conan Exiles between day of FPS game streams. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I heard that as well a little bit. I was actually talking to some of them that one of their friends were trying Modern Online when we were at the absolute worst state, when server were going crazy, login were crazy, mass lag, and he based the game on that, unfortunately, which obviously wasn't good. He thought that was the actual latency you had as a NA player, which obviously isn't close to any truth, but understandable when you have nothing to compare it with and don't know what kind of status the game server was in. So quite unfortunate when a big streamer jumped in when it was at the worst case possible. So yeah, I really hope that they will revisit that, at least have an interest of this type of game when things are under control, which hopefully will be the first step on Monday. When will the free trial be available? I'm not sure exactly when that fits the schedule right now. As we mentioned, we do find that is a suitable step to take, that we would be able to invite any player to join Haven, experience the game there. We are planning to do some possible refinement on Haven. But yeah, it does fit. It makes sense that they could be isolated on Haven, try the game there, and if they feel that they want to, take this step and becoming a real player and, participating in the real world and action, that's when they could commit to the game. So it does fit, and we think that it's something that we should offer eventually. But again, it requires some time, and we don't have that time for that right now. So we will revisit and make an update when that is something we will offer. Man, Lyric doesn't play due to the crazy bad start you gave to him. your knowledge of who is streaming is the same as the knowledge of what is actually going to be fixed. Stain, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that sentence, but I've had quite a close contact with Lyric in terms of that step, both in the first stress test and also when I revisit on launch day. And yes, just like I said, on launch day we knew that we had quite the problems with the login chaos and the server hitting the different caps that caused major lag, etc. So yes, I were fully aware of that, and I witnessed it at first hand in communication as well. And unfortunately, that was a situation for all of us during the release days, right? There is no way around that. So that is why we've been working day and night to fix that, get it under control, make sure everyone can play, and now we're getting back on the capacity as well. The guys on the ADA next patch, Monday is the ADA. Hopefully Monday. Please read, when we fix the running player come close to. Yeah, so that I think I covered that question a few times every stream. So we are fully aware of it's a common question that we all want to improve. But in short, again, it's related to the server capacity. So there's no room for us to crank that up at this point, because that would mean less players being able to join the main servers and possible to hit the cap when there's spikes, when people are going to hotspots, which results in those lag situation when actions are delayed and people are sliding all over the place. And that is obviously something we absolutely need to avoid at all costs, at all times. So that is why we have high hopes. This patch on Monday, we are increasing that capacity by quite a lot. And we're not just trying to push in as many players as we can to fill that higher cap, but we actually are pinpointing the overhead to make sure that we can also always allow over 200 players going into one location to have a fight or something like that, without also hitting any of the package caps that results in lags and delayed queues, because obviously that ruins all the fights, right? So that is a plan starting on from the Monday's patch. Is there any plans to add more options for PvP so that people don't have to rely on taunt griefing to get actions? Yes. There's several steps, obviously, that will promote those that are interested in PvP. There's a few different areas. So there will be some unlawless areas in the world, which means when you enter there's any PvP is without consequences. There's no more murder reports or flagging rules. So obviously that would be maybe hotspots for a lot of actions, because obviously there will be some possible things that also interest those types of players. So along with the obvious things with TC and keeps, there will be different types of small skirmish options for those that want to PvP for different things. And there will also be the possible to align with one of the nations to be in a direct conflict within those that are aligned against that conflict. So there will be several types of PvP interest of conflicts where player can participate if they want to, or avoid that if they don't want to participate in that PvP. So yeah, the goal is to promote additional areas where it makes sense. It's exciting to do meaningful PvP rather than trying to do innocent jumps that may not be as exciting for those that want to PvP, and it could also be a little bit annoying by those that want to avoid it. So we have some interesting areas where we want to help promote those areas. And then also down the road, we have additional systems that we're going to deploy, such as the relics that drops from the sky. That also was a very popular incentive for, you know, different types of fights and wars between players that want to participate in that. So there will be several areas over time that simply promote the options to go into player conflicts. Come on, it's time to tell about the dragon. We can't wait to hear again about them. Stain. You know, obviously, you know, even though we are very heavily occupied in the obvious, right? The high prioritized things that we need to get under control. So we can all relax, all enjoy the game, and let in big streamers, whatever, all that. And, you know, having things on a stable level, just as we were running things throughout the whole beta pretty much, you know, just increasing the capacity greatfold to make sure that we can cover all that. Obviously, along with that, we have been working on some of the upcoming content that we plan to deploy close to release, but we simply haven't had the time to occupy all the developers into finalizing those areas because of the various reasons I just mentioned with issues that we've been working on. But that means these developers have been continue working on those fields. That means, you know, those areas will be ready for when the other developers goes back to finalize their missing parts before we can deploy it. So there's a few things, obviously, that is quite exciting that we have plans for to deploy in some of our upcoming content patches. So there's no doubt that, look, I'm very eager for this. Obviously, you know, it's been a rough start, and we have had to spend a lot of time and energy to get everything on track. And soon we will finally be able to get back to exciting things when it comes to gaming. Everything from events, in-game situations, to new content. So we simply have to hang in there a little bit more, and then things will start progressing in that area that we have planned to do a lot of when it comes to having engagement with the players. So there are a lot of exciting things. Bring Forsen and his Zulu army, sir, will explode. Yeah, I mean, of course, many of those, if they are able to bring players in, then, you know, they may have quite an impact. But like I said, we're doing huge work forward to finally crank up the capacity in the right way. And the first step starts on Monday, hopefully on Monday. Weather effect be added. So we mentioned that a little bit before as well. So as you know, we're taking the step or planning to take the step over to Unreal 5. There's additional areas that have been improvement or also stepping over to new systems such as lightning, shadow, some of the effect systems, weather. So right now, we don't think it makes much sense to spend time in that area because of those reasons that, you know, it may not be able to use it at all within just a few, you know, in the next coming updates when we step over to Unreal 5. So yeah, it's a little unfortunate, obviously, that the clouds and the mood are not really synced with storms and thunder. You know, breaks the immersive level a little bit, and that is a really nice factor in this type of game. You know, it looks beautiful, it plays good, and I really like the storm sounds. So obviously it's a little lacking when you don't have that final synchronization when it comes to the full weather effects. So obviously we want it as soon as we can, right? But it right now it doesn't make sense to try to build something that, or finish it, adding those steps that simply will be replaced in Unreal 5. So yeah, we need to wait a little bit before we can fully enjoy that. And yes, just like I say, lyrics doesn't play anymore for a long time on my 2. So I think you are referring to lyrics, Stain. I'm talking about lyric with an K. Lyric have a few million followers. He's a huge streamer. He's super entertaining, super fun, and he's a really good FPS player. And he's been streaming Mortal 9 for like 4 or 5 times. And every time he enjoyed a game. And, you know, people have been very entertained when watching it. I had a blast watching him play the game. He's really into the role, and he's just so funny. Every time he says something, is hilarious. I really love watching him stream Mortal 9, and I think many of you guys have seen that as well. And like I said, his last session he did was on the release day, right in the middle of the chaos. So hopefully we'll be back in one of our upcoming patches to attract him back, because he enjoyed the game. He said it's a really cool game and it's perfect fit when it comes to RP. The VoIP system is awesome, and you know, it just looks awesome. He really offered some really entertaining and really cool gaming experience when he was streaming. So yeah, hopefully he will be back. And he said that he will be back when, you know, he noticed that we had the classic release chaos. It isn't his first rodeo, so hopefully we'll be back. Is the game fixed now? So the game have been updated in terms of the login issues have been solved. You can get into the game now without any major issues. There is no infinite queue or queue loops or queue problems. So that is obviously step 1, first most important, to be able to offer everyone to play the game. So yeah, you can play the game, and we have been collecting all the feedback, all the reports so far, and been working on those very hard next to the update on the main capacity. So plans are to patch on Monday if things goes as planned, which should fix majority of all those reported issues, and we should hopefully be looking at a much greater capacity. So yeah, things are moving forward for sure. You mentioned ping normalization target 100 ms. No, we're actually targeting around 250 ms. So that means we're covering US West around 200 for sure. But yes, a lot of Australian players are out of the 250, which, you know, slowly are adding that kind of delay, which is, you know, noticeable in different ways, and something that you kind of adapt and counter for as well a bit. There are a few things that we have identified that we can improve a little bit. We can squeeze out some checks that could improve additional when it comes to blocking and some of the movement stuff. But I don't want to, you know, praise something that, you know, we aren't entirely sure about at this point. But there's a few areas where we can improve and refine some parts that could have a very positive impact for quite a few players in the higher range. So we will be doing some work there as well, actually. Oh my god!
Another one.
It's Stain with the tier. Thank you for the subscription. 4th month in a row. That is crazy. Thank you, Stain. Why are you ignoring me and answering question about streamers, taming, beast mastery, server, etc.? Reduced training times. I don't know what your question is. Sorry, I missed it. I was looking for your question, but I couldn't find it. Beast Mastery, if that I guess that is something that we're gonna add as well in upcoming roadmap when we're done with the prioritized issue fix. I guess that is one of the question. So rating pets, that is, you know, one of the big fix for the upcoming patch on Monday. We've been working very hard because that has been one of the most common petition. Pets going on in the world, doing crazy things. Yes, we have identified main cause of this, and we've been working on solving that. And along with that, we also added additional tools for the GMs to be able to even better effectively help if and when something goes wrong. Do you plan on fixing humanoid names on player far away? So yeah, this is the same question again, right? When people loading a bit late, giving you the details, and again, it's, I guess this is the most common question right now. So obviously, it's something that affects everyone. The thing is, it's same for everyone. You know, everyone loads the same time for each other's, and yes, we agree that the timing when you load the data is a little bit too late, right? You want to see the friend or foe and his gear earlier than you do now. We fully understand that, and we will work on that range, but we can't change that until we have the capacity on a control on the main servers. So that is the reason why there's no room to change that right now, because we don't have the headroom at all. When you notice some of the major lag issues on Milan, for instance, when people were sliding all over the place, that means that we have hit a specific spike on packages in a network, which it's tricky because we don't have the, it's not that we can say this many players, it's fine, because what happens here is that obviously we want to let in as many players as possible as long as the capacity is normal loads. But what happens every now and then is that players decide to show up with their gang, have a big fight. You know, we're talking 200 people on the screen, fights. That is an additional quite peak of strain on the servers, especially when you're moving from one node to another to handle that transition. That's when we see a queue starting to happen in specific packages. And that's when you start gliding and the fight is all over. So this is what we're working now to increase that capacity great folded and make sure that we have that headroom to support very huge battles. So whenever that happens, you should not encounter that kind of issues. So as you can imagine, again, that means we can't cut performance at all right now when it comes to the server. And if you increase when you see the data from a player, that's when we reduce the amount of players as well, or how many can participate in one battle before it goes crazy again. So we have a pretty good clear picture now on what's going on, because again, this was a new scenario. Throughout the whole beta, we had a good amount of people everywhere, but never to these high rates. And also, whenever a big battle happened, everyone went to that battle, right? Now we have people all over the place, and then additional people are going right to the battle. So you can see it's a totally different type of stress that we never encountered throughout the beta. And this is what we now have a very clear picture of. We have very good data. We have good stats on all this. And now this is also what, you know, gave us the opportunity to, now we know how we can solve it and work with it. And that's why it have taken some time, because there's been so many different cases depending on what happened in the game that give us different types of spikes and situations. But now finally we have a very good overview of what's going on in our live environment finally. And a very, very important patch on Monday, the first step towards having that under control. So I hope that makes sense and cover that question in a good way. Paralyze spell, please. So there's a few things coming along with the different a few things. Both some magic schools will have some effects in the area and on the players and on pets specifically, and obviously there will be more alchemy effects and trap making that may also have an effect. But what we also think is very important at all times in this type of game, and that is that we don't want to give a crowd control system that kind of eliminates and becoming a dominant main factor of outcome in this game. You can understand what kind of great impact that has in this type of game where you already are, you can be very deadly very quickly in different ways. We want to make sure that doesn't simply wreck the overall balance and how you can play the game. So we're very careful about when it comes to crowd control and similar functions. But there are a few areas that we plan to add some of this, but that also means there will always be a natural counter or adaptation to that situation. So I hope that makes sense in terms of balance, because we want to respect player skills, teamwork, team play, and make sure that it's even gaming field without very specific components taking all over it. What I plan to address lack of content map when player cap increase. So yes, we are increasing the wildlife and spawners as well along with this. So there's also cost on the server when it comes to AI behavior, sending out again packages from players to players and to servers. And this is again one of the big areas that we've been working on improving. So yes, we are also adding more AI content in the world. So more spawners, creatures, a few new creatures, and again, altering and tweaking those numbers along with additional amount of players as well. We know that even though we have a lot of different hotspots, different types of hunting areas, obviously just adding additional 1, 2,000, 3,000, that puts very much quickly more strain on those areas. So yes, we do plan to add additional different types of hotspots spread out in the world to give more options as well. So there's always something to, go for. And about that, I even forgot I actually have one picture I want to show you in this stream before I end it. And that is, let me see, where do I have it? I have one little sneak peek when it comes to one of the gear. So you've seen the Minotaurs, right? The Minotaurs, and you've seen the Minotaur King, but you haven't seen our heavy Minotaur soldiers. Do you want to see it, guys? Let's do it. All right. What do you think about these guys? Boom. Give me your opinion. I hope you like it, because I think it's really cool. Looks good, eh? I'm glad you like it, because yeah, a lot of hard work goes into all these new models and remodelings, as you can imagine. It's we're pushing things. It's AAA quality in terms of visuals, and obviously we want to respect that at all levels at all times. So this is our heavy armored Minotaur gear, and obviously the Mino King needs his own, right? So you can just imagine there would be something quite special for the Mino King. And plans are that, as you know, some of the pets you can put gear on, right? So we're looking to, along with the step where you, like I mentioned before, there's a very important balance factor when it comes to domination and beast mastery, where you have to rely on very specific components to control some of the more powerful pets. So it comes with like a pro and con. Obviously, the pro is a very powerful pet, but the balance factor comes with how you're bound to it. That puts you in a, sometimes in a risk, and how you control it. And some of them are there's a possibility to put gear on some of these pets as well. So we're looking to possibly allow the Minotaur Dominator to actually put gear on their young ones eventually. But like I said, it comes with a very important balance factor because, a Minotaur is quite powerful, and we have very specific balance factors for that power. So, so it kind of makes sense in terms of balance. So yeah, I'm happy you like it. I think it's really cool. And, the depth of details when you zoom in on these things, it's quite crazy. Just take a close look on the pieces here. Quite impressive. Quite impressive. Really cool. I like it. Playable Minotaur when? I'm not sure if we're gonna be playing them, but dominating is one of the thing. Oh my god. We got another one. Ginmu, thank you for the subscription. Thank you. Appreciate it. Can I have this armor for my female villa? This is a huge armor, right? A normal person is up to his chest or below the chest. So this is a very special crafted piece of gear for the Minotaurs, and the Huergas crafted them and made that possible. El To, thank you for the subscription. Thank you very much. Got a hype train going, guys. What did you eat for lunch? Today I ate... This is a special one. I ate... Wait, it's something very uncommon. Let me get this right. First I have to find the name in Swedish, and then I have to translate it. Darkone Twitch, thank you for the follow, and Be Goody with the subscription. Thank you. I ate... What the hell? How do I pronounce this in English? Rein Skalv. Do we have any Swedish people to translate? Deer, some type of deer meat. Yeah, some type of deer meat with an amazing sauce and potatoes and champions. Oh my god, Bane Spike with the subscription.
Oh my god, another one. Another one.
10 months. That is crazy. Thank you so much. And Big Goody with 10 gifts. You're crazy, guys. You're killing it. Thank you so much. That is very, very generous. And yeah, we really appreciate your support, guys. I can't say it enough. Renskavsgryta. Exactly, ducks. That's it. Dear Skavsgryta. I don't know the exact translation for that dish, but quite unique dish, right? My girl did something out of the ordinary, and it was super delicious. So that was actually for lunch, and for after that in the evening I ate spaghetti. Holy shit! I dropped all the name on English. Spaghetti köttfärssås. Spaghetti meat sauce. The pasta and the sauce, the pasta sauce. Bolognese. Yeah, pasta bolognese. Exactly. So was a really nice dinner today. Nice, good dishes. I'm happy my girl is enjoy doing nice food. So bellissimo.
Oh my god, another one.
I'm crying a lot. I love it. Yummy. Yeah. It's so strange. I never think about the dishes in English. It stood completely still when I'm trying to translate it. What the hell I was eating today. When is Unreal 5 coming? It's it's on our roadmap. So it's still too early to say in what steps. We have a few things we're going through right now, or not a fully 100% right now. A few people are experimenting already with it, but we will go through this on roadmap, and you will most likely see those steps on upcoming roadmap. So there will be the more near, and then the more long term.
Oh my god, another one.
Enskaus Greta. Reindeer stew with mushrooms and potatoes, exactly, and lingonsylt. What the hell? How do you say lingonsylt on English? I drop all the names. Sorry guys, my brain only have so much fuel at the day until it needs refuel, I guess. Lingonsylt. Oh. Animus Loopy with the 2-month prime resub. Thank you so much. How much sleep on average do you and the rest of the team get each day? I can't really speak for the rest of the team. Like I said, we know how important it is with rest and sleep, right? And obviously food to make sure we function well and not work too much and go too crazy at it, because you can only do that for a certain amount of time and then you collapse. So I think it's very important that the entire team try to respect that in terms of getting enough sleep, hopefully, or some exercise is also very helpful when it comes to reducing stress and resetting the brain. So we don't try to push anything out of the ordinary, especially now, to make sure we can run this in the long run. We just have to very carefully plan ahead. And we're also expanding, as we mentioned before, we're expanding the team so we can offload a lot of the work and have better plans, better work, better efficiency. But yeah, myself, I try as well, obviously, to respect these parts, to get enough rest, sleep, and a little bit exercise when there's time. It's been very poorly when it comes to getting enough exercise and movement as of late. I've been way too lazy, or simply haven't had the time, which isn't good. I feel it in the body and neck, and I got a frozen shoulder. It's still effed up since almost a year, which is quite crazy. I feel completely, there's so many things you can't do when you don't have a functional shoulder. So that is terrible. So I really hope it, release that frozen, part soon, hopefully. But the thing is, when, as I said many times, this is such a important project for me, so close to my heart, and it's been so many years devoted to this that obviously I can't just, step away from the computer and think that, now I've done my work for today, I'm gonna relax. That is quite impossible for me, and that is, for obvious reasons. If you just imagine spending 16 years of your time in this, everything you have spent and put have been into this project, so there's a lot of passion involved, no doubt, and not only passion, blood, sweat, tears, fundings, everything I've spent into the project. So it's quite, you know, unavoidable that I can't just shut off when I step away from the computer. And the problem is that, you know, we're always connected with the cell phones, right? So, and I can't move anywhere without the cell phone. So I'm always connected in one way or another because, you know, I feel that anyone in the team needs to be able to reach me at any time. And that means 24/7, you know, Monday to Sunday, because I think it's so important and I can't relax if I don't know that that is an option for everyone. But obviously, it's not the best when it comes to, you know, having stress under control and having all that under control. So I'm also working towards a method where I know that I can do this for many years to come without dying. And I think that, you know, we're already taking good steps forward and, you know, making sure we have everything under control without, you know, going under. So that is very important. So yeah, it all depends on the situation. Sometimes I'm lucky enough and I can get some sleep. Sometimes I fall asleep for 2 hours and then I wake up and I have 10 different thoughts in my mind and I solved one solution. I have to quickly write it down what that solution is before I forget about it, and I can't get to sleep until I come up with what I just forgot because I'm getting so annoyed. It's strange, you know. During the day, I have so many things in my mind, things that we need to solve or so on. And when I sleep, it's like my brain goes to work. It figures some things out, and I wake up and bam, I have a solution or an option, and I write that down, and it feels great. And then quite often I can relax again and hopefully fall asleep again. But obviously what most annoying is when I know I have a long day, very important things, and I can't, I wake up and I can't fall to sleep again. There's nothing worse than just laying there, not able to sleep, and I know that I need sleep. I should be sleeping a long time ago, and just wasting hours in bed. So it's, you know, it's every now and then it's easier or worse, and there's never a break from Mortal Online for me personally, and it's impossible to take a break from it, for good and bad. You know, it's simply how it is. It's simply impossible for me to disconnect, as you can imagine. So, but like I said, I'm very, you know, I see very exciting things on the horizon here. So I'm very excited for the future, and just seeing your support in here, guys, and being part of the journey. And the first step is just very rewarding. So timeline for fixing the clays, like the lore clay doesn't work for the animal lores. I'm not sure about that. I have to look into that. I'm sure if it's reported, it's somewhere in the pipeline. I don't keep track of exactly all of the bugs being reported or all the issues. I try to go through them and have a good overview, but there could be some areas where I'm not completely up to date. Is it in the game actually gain rep, rise a horde if there's a... So there's a few things in the game world that simply isn't really utilizing some of those, but we did want it to be there initially, you know, since people can plan for it and know about it. But yes, unfortunately, some of those are not fully utilized, and one of them is the known rise unknown, which obviously you have quite a strong clue on what that entails. We have the lands of the risers coming in one of our upcoming continents, the Herabaltar, and obviously that's the homeland of the risers, which means there will be a lot more content focused on risers and everything tied to risers. And obviously Thursars with that Clade is kind of, there's a strong connection with that obviously gives them more options when it comes to that. So I would say yes, unfortunately there's not much value at this point picking that Clade. And that is why you still have it because it's important for the future, and you will be able to obviously re-spec and use that Clade gifts along when you see more content being affected by that gift. Second launch will be better. Just get those patches going. Maybe wait for Unreal 5. Yeah, I have really high hopes for the money patch. Really good fixes, really good polish, and like I said, I have there's some really good optimization done and improvement on the capacity on Milan. So again, we are monitoring very carefully, learning every day what every action means. What the player costs when he's just running around, when there's a fight between 50 people, 100, 200 people. There's a lot of things happening through that, along with background population being, steady and high. So there's been a lot of valuable data that we never had before, unfortunately, until we went live. But we're getting more and more progression in those fields. So it's going to be exciting. I'm very hopeful for this upcoming patch in terms of the capacity as well. And like I said, I hate to try to sell those things. I really want them to start to speak for themselves, obviously, so everyone see we're moving in the right direction and we are improving those capacity areas that we have set up as a main target to hit. But I'm confident we will reach them, and a very important step on Monday, along with very good fixes that have been affecting a lot of our players. Alvin Nightside Clade going to remain as is. Yeah. So one of the night vision is one of those things that we had to disable due to the big change in the world lightning with the moons. We will revisit that as well. It's one of those things that we will revisit in the short run to get that enabled and be done with it pretty much, because it's also some of the gifts that affects that. So that will be also covered in the near roadmap, because it's a quick small thing, everything is prepared for it, but we simply couldn't rush through those numbers when we were that close to release. So yeah, that is one of those that will be reactivated correctly. Passion is fuel for perfection. It is true. It is true. Greetings from Canada. I'm very happy with how things are moving and your honest, upfront communication. Thank you, Brack, and welcome from Canada. I mean. The bad man. The most annoying thing is the witness trying to do the same mistake over again. Freaking gear minotaurs. So stupid. Some people never learn, sadly. I don't know what you're basing that at all on. I'm showing you a geared minotaur, and I just explain the main reason of imbalance in the first game that we are taking our time to not do this time around. If you listen to that, you would have heard that I actually mentioned that we're not doing the exact same thing, or we learned from the balance in the first game and we're not adding the same kind of balance where we knew it was off. So if you heard me out and understood me there, you would understand that, we are not adding those until we have the balance I just mentioned in terms of domination, the tools, the risk, pros and cons when you get a powerful pet, there's an important balance factor I mentioned that kind of, puts it in place where it makes sense. Because obviously we can't just add creatures that are 10 times stronger and even more stronger and even more stronger, and there's still no pros and cons, no tools, no drawbacks, no balance factors that comes into play with those much powerful pets. So I've said that many times, the bad man, if you wanted to listen on that, there's an important balance factor that is come to play, and that is the reason you don't have these pets right now. But yeah, some people from the first game never learn to listen. But it's understandable, right? It's, we all want our own view and thing, and we all see balance different ways, and we know that we can't ever make everyone happy, and people will also ignore why we do things or what we say, and that comes along with this work. It's, I guess, the downside having to fight that or try to show that as well. Catch myself saying Canadian too. I call it Canada. Yeah, it's easy. Henrik, nice to see the game going forward finally. Do we have an 8 when servers are going to be combined into one again? So on Monday patch, as I said, as long as Monday patch goes out on Monday, we will at the same time shut down 2 of the alternate servers. Yeah, I see you're already responding to that one. I'm late, guys. But yes, we are taking it in steps. We're getting there, guys. I like this, Henrik. He just told you shut up and listen. No, don't get me wrong here. Everyone obviously get to repeat their questions and all of that, and I have to consider that obviously everyone don't hear my response, right? That is quite given. So obviously it's up to me to make sure that that is the right mindset, right? It's on me. What's the picture? Normal set. So this is an armored guarded Minotaur. There should not be any powerful pets. We learned that from Mortal. So again, this is where, you as a player says Mortal Online should have pistols and cannons, and it should not have pets, and there should never be magic, right? Fine, everyone is entitled to their own opinion on game design and what should be immortal or not. But I think that we have to be responsible in charge of what Mortal Online should be. We have a very clear vision of what it should be. And again, we learned from the first game what worked well, what worked worse. And we have a very, clear view on what Mortal Online should be. And also not only what it should be now, but also all the future content that obviously ties to a lot of that. And since players don't know what all that will entail in the future, then it's also impossible to know, why don't you have mana potions? Why can't I run and cast ecumenical spells? Why are daggers a little underpowered? Will we have poisoning? I mean, there's many perfectly fine question that is there for a reason, because yes, there's a thought behind all of that, and there's a reason behind all of that, and we have prepared behind all that, and we have many years to add content that ties into each other's. And therefore, obviously, we need to consider the whole picture, not only, the short frame. We're here for the long run, not the short rush. So obviously, we need to be responsible for all that. And of course, the majority loves pets. They want pets. So in this case, you are part of the minority. People enjoy taming, enjoy pets. But what we all can agree on is we want as exciting, as good balance as possible. And that's where we had many sidesteps in the first game, and that's when we learned a lot. And that's when we do things better in Mortal Kombat 2. And that's where also the majority from the first game see, wow, great, you learn from that. We're seeing good progression, we're happy, we feel confident that, you know, Mortal Kombat 2 will be a much better game in all categories than Mortal Kombat 1 was ever. And I'm from America. So it's not only me saying Canada from Canada. Articulations at best. Indeed, indeed. Yo, mage needs a staff to block with a cast. With and cast. So that is the staff magic school, Scorp Xion. One of the high voted magic schools actually, that is coming quite in a near batch in terms of, you know, selection of the magic schools. It was a high voted school, magic staff. And yes, it obviously allows you to use a staff as the main magic wielding component, and yes, you will be able to wield it and fight with it as well at the same time. Can we get Q again if there's only main? I mean, right now we don't have the capacity enough for one server only, and that is why we added more servers to make sure everyone can play at any time. We don't want to, you know, have people in infinite queues. So now when we've done additional steps, some optimization on server, FK timers, etc., there's a much more movement in the queues and people going in and out much faster. It's also because people don't know that if you got in, you're going to stay in because you're never going to get in again, as it was at one time, which obviously puts more pressure on people never logging out. So with that fixed, and on, like I said, on the Monday's patch, with a huge capacity upgrade, we can start removing some of the alternate Milans. And we also increase the capacity of the queue system, so queue is moving faster as well on the main Milan. So we're doing several optimization and improvements throughout the whole server structure to make sure we can handle more players, better capacity in big battles, and faster queue movements. So we're getting there for sure. Should make a dungeon where you are the main boss as a monster then, or how do you mean? I mean, sure, that would be fun to play as one of the monster bosses. We have some cool things in the plans where we will, in a interesting and just balanced way, enable some functions that will be quite exciting to fight against. So I've did asked already, is the pet range bug fixed as well Monday? I'm not 100% sure if there's any changes in that. I have to look that up. Obviously there's, you know, additional follow-up on fixes that are going to happen. But I know that we covered all the most common and biggest issues in this patch and the most frequent petitions that happens, you know, to make sure that we solve issues for as many players as possible first in a prioritized order. And then obviously there's going to be more that we're going to follow up on as well. And the plans and buffs to certain Clade's races. Not at this point. We're quite happy with the overall balance, and we can also see a very good spread of use for all the clades, and people are finding their own favorites. So we're very happy with that balance. We don't see one suffer greatly from another or one standing out too strong. So there's no rush in going in there at this point. I didn't hear if you answer about Tinium B. Is there Tinium B or not? And will Tinium have a seaport or port area? Yes. So Tinram have closed the port district and the port area, and the fallen tower, Magica. Shit, I forgot about the name. But yes, those are still closed. Kind of tied in the lore as well, and they will eventually be open to the public as well. Obviously, when we are enabling the ship system, constructing and building ships, then we need some proper ports as well, right? So down the road, there's quite a bit that will be enabled there as well. Next patch will not add new housing guild permissions. That is something that we're gonna add. We need to include, so we're going through obviously a lot of the feedback and see what we are adding in the next, what are the next wanted tools we need in housing and keeps. And we wanna make sure we confirm those and we have the ones everyone wants and need and it fits and works. And then we're gonna deploy that patch, but it's not in this next one. It's more focused on important fixes and issues and bugs in this one. Please add Terrorbird repellent to the game. Have you identified a weakness with some of the animals? It's quite interesting because sometimes, everyone take for granted it should be a head hit, right? Hit the head and it's the most damage. But it's interesting because we have added a few things where there are not the most apparent weakness, but there are some that make sense weakness. And we haven't really noticed that people have tried this, experimented with it, and actually found that out. And that is some of the things that, similar to the first game, when we don't point things out, it may be hidden for quite a while until someone accidentally runs through it or tests things and see, oh, holy shit, I found something here that is quite useful or powerful or a good count or whatever it could be, right? Obviously it's no secret that all creatures have different types of defenses. Everyone had different hitboxes, the different body parts. And I know that you already figure out, obviously, hitting the shell on a crab is obviously high defense. Hitting the head or the soft pieces is more damage, right? That quite makes sense and quite obvious. But we haven't really seen people trying that out on a wider scale on the different animals. And that is, again, knowledge is power. I'm just saying that. We don't plan to add additional playable races. With that said, me and Mats were discussing it a long time ago that there are room for, specific cases where that could be happening in certain cases. But I won't say that is a common option anytime soon, at least. I'm just leaving it there for now. And when are we getting legendary appearance for exceptional crafted gear? So, if I'm not mistaken, we just finished the batch of legendary decoration on, I think, all weapons. And they look insane. So, it's very close to being deployed. Again, I will say that, you know, on a roadmap that we are hoping to finish as soon as we can, maybe after this patch, that's when we can reveal and you will see where all those pieces goes into the game. And I see I'm hitting the 3-hour mark, guys. And I think that we have covered most of the question right now. I see many of them are repeating over time, which means new people are showing up, right? Will hit detection never be moved server side to fix exploit? So that is server side. So, you know, it's not that easy that, you know, the experiment that is happening that we also, you know, obviously leads to us banning a lot of accounts right now because of breaking rules. It's not that easy that, you know, some may think. Every important check is server side. And there's obviously some cases where this can be bypassed in different ways, but obviously that is something we are also working on securing in several steps because, you know, because there are finding new ways around it that is not normal, if that makes any sense. So we simply just need to keep on expanding on those measurements to make sure it's you know, still server-sided for everyone in the right way. Canadian Life. Will archers ever get a small buckler or offhand baby dagger to be able to block with curse if that is something looking forward to or keep working on kiting training? There are additional weapon groups and styles and special moves coming down the road. I can't again say when this is on the roadmap. So I think it's too early to comment more in detail of that. But like I mentioned before, there are different steps like crossbows, throwing weapons, and special moves with all these different weapon groups that is planned for as well when it comes to more combat updates to the game and options that everyone can partake in. Can you please get animism off the necromancer, please? So we have a few candidates as the 4th magic school, and we haven't fully decided yet which one. So there's a few things. There's a few spells that I personally know that this is going to be a game changer for a lot of people that enjoy playing as mages in different ways. They're going to be a more wider option for those play styles. So either we pick that one that I know gonna be a big addition in an exciting way, or we simply will allow you again to choose one of these. I think we have 3 upcoming common schools that also is quite wide and offer a lot of exciting new gameplay for everyone that are interested. So we will see if we pick that one we have in mind, or simply let you decide which one you would be most interested in as the next one. I mean, animism is a really cool school that I think a lot of people are gonna enjoy and find quite exciting, because it's gonna be quite spectacular how the effect morphs your body into different body parts in a very cool way. So it's a very cool school for sure. That again give the players a completely new type of gameplay. So I mean, there's so many cool schools that add something completely new, a new gameplay option. So it's gonna be tough for sure to choose between some of those in what order. But you know, over time we will have all of them, no doubt. Will you then reduce the amount of alt servers over time until there's only main? Yes, exactly. So we start with removing 2 on Monday if everything goes as planned. And then obviously we're going to follow up and see exactly where we're standing. We have additional steps that we know will have a huge impact on server capacity. We can go very far, as you know, the original design and how we built the network is very robust and can handle a huge amount of players. I know that, you know, that faith went down when we saw that we run into major issues along with login servers, and that is fully understandable. And I know that the only way for us to obviously bring back that faith on what kind of numbers that we're realistically looking at is by delivering that, right? So that is what we're doing now. We're going to make sure that we reach those numbers that we're happy with, where Milan feels it's heavily populated. Now we really need another real continent to, again, allow the players to spread out and choose where they want to play around. If they want to play around in very crowded areas or venture into new lands. And also, obviously, over time, expanding player population over time with additional feature and content. We will need more land, we know that. So yes, the plan is only to have 1 land eventually, and then 1 of each other of the future upcoming continents. Is Rangers the best not being the same sometimes when you switch servers? Yes, we have updates to that as well in the Monday patch. I want to play more solo. It would be fun with something like invisibility spells, karma, protection, shield. You can't fight under those spells. That would be unfair. You play more like an explorer, trader, builder. Just an idea I had. Great game you have done. Thank you, and thank you for the feedback. Yeah, I mean, there will be, obviously, like we mentioned before, several magic schools that will give many different tools for the players that can make them more, you know, mobility, defense, offensive style, or combination in different ways. So obviously there will be some something that will give more of those options for sure. And then, you know, we have a lot of features on the horizon for many years to come. I mean, just when you mention protection and karma, we actually have a religion god system that we have a baseline design of that we intend to implement in the game as well, with obviously some impact and additional options for the players in a very exciting way. This is, you know, obviously one of the Matt's main areas when it comes to designing some of these quite complex but very exciting features that have different impact in different ways, but again give a lot of sandbox tools to the players. So I'm very sure that over time there will without a doubt be a lot more options in different ways for the different playstyles, different professions and interest of the game. If you're into PvP exploration or PvE trading, there will be more depth in every category without a doubt. We just have to find a good balance where we can expand the team in a proper way and make sure that we offer all of these areas in good sessions and not only blindly focus on one area. But, you know, it's a sandbox RPG game. We want to make sure that it is a real RPG game and not only a deathmatch PvP game or only PvE game. You know, we want to make sure that all of these categories offer a very exciting gaming experience for all type of players, and that's when Mortal shines, when we all come together in one world and can participate in different ways. Is new content already being developed something we can expect this year? Yes, it is something we can expect this year. Can we get more pickables on water? Yes. So as you have noticed, we did one important update for the streaming system to make that more reliable. It was quite hell before that patch. So that was an obvious important baseline to make sure that swim will work as intended. You know, you still have to learn the proper weight and skills to be able to swim correctly with the different weights. But we also plan to have quite a lot more underwater content, both creatures, treasures, and things to pick there under. But also, obviously, you know, we are slowly moving towards the underwater continent. We have underwater spells, water breathing, alchemy magic in different ways. So, and mechanics as well. So for sure that there will obviously be with these types of features and content, then obviously we need to have more content supporting being underwater, right? So that makes sense. So that is a whole big area that we have a lot of plans for as well in the future. Nick is killing me. All right, let me scroll down and see if we can reach a little conclusion here in a moment. I'm falling behind so quickly, sorry guys. Siege system comes along with TC content. So again, you will see these areas on the roadmap, and that will give you a much better picture of what we're looking at time-wise. Could we use some animism spells on horseback, or are they all on foot? So again, we will go through all the specific rules for the different schools. The only one that are publicly known, because they're also quite based on the first game's magic school, which is necromancy, elementalism, that we are also going to have in Mortline, with some modification, but they're quite similar. So necromancy, for instance, the next magic school to be implemented, allows you to move at the same time as you're casting spells. So again, it's heavily bound to balance and the specific school rules that is important to learn and understand. So yeah, all depending on what you're looking for, what style, it could be, you know, one of those other schools that is in the upcoming schedule. J Forza, thank you for the subscription. Will pets be able to swim in the future? Yes. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we have a lot of underwater content that we're going to rely heavily on over time. So obviously we need to make sure that all those areas also support that makes sense, you know, where the pets that can swim should be able to swim similar to horses and players. So yeah. We will get magic staffs. There is one magic school that is called staff magic, and it kind of says it in the name, right? So one of the big portion is how to build and craft your personal staff and how to bound the powers to it, and that is your key for casting magic. So that school will fully rely on having a proper staff. We'll be able to terraform one day. We have actually evaluated a system that allowed us to terraform, but it also comes with pros and cons, right? As you can imagine, having complete freedom of changing the world in a way where, you know, you can change it completely. You know, what happens with all our the lands, the dungeons, the underworlds and all that, if you can just dig it all out. So obviously there's a lot of important question that needs to be put in place, and a framework to make sure everything is, allowing the game world to evolve in a way without wrecking a lot of the plans we have for the game world. So there's a lot of question that needs to be covered before we can allow it. But we actually evaluated it and saw a solution where we could offer it and actually gain some performance by using a new technique of rendering the world terrain. But as mentioned, we are stepping over to Unreal 5, and we are also going through the new way of building a continent and how to convert Milan to the same system. So, depending on that progression now as well, some people are going to be dedicated in team with. We will have more clear picture of what we could possibly allow the people to actually modify in a limited way, because we do think just being able to dig like in Minecraft could actually ruin a lot of our future plans for Mortal Online, and we don't want the world to be, ruined in that way. So I hope that makes sense. And with that said, I think that this is it for me actually today. It's been a good run as usual. Thank you all for participating, tuning in as usual, and having these discussions and questions. It's always enjoyable to hang out with you guys. And chance of getting flays in game. It's a bit tricky because there's, depending on how we build a flail, if it's going to be physics based, that means translating a physics animation in real time. It's that is a task. So we need to do that in a very specific way. And since there's so many specific rules tied to that, we took the decision to wait with that weapon type until we have that more luxurious time to go through that kind of candy. Shall we do a raid today, guys? What do you say? What say you? Do we have any streamers online here today? We do. No raid. You don't wanna raid, guys. I said that it would be nice to do a raid with some of our guys, trying to rotate it a little bit to spread out the love. Sturderky, is he streaming? Yeah, that was quite hilarious when I was joining Sturderky's stream in the release. It was quite funny. I think I scared him a little bit, guys. I jumped into his stream in a perfect timing when he was trash talking me. And I couldn't resist. So I had to jump in and scare him a little bit. And I never forget his expression when I wrote him, and as you can know, there's a delay on a few seconds, right, before he reads and comment on it. And when I send it, he continues spewing quite some angry words against me personally, which I just found super hilarious. And then bam, he read my text, and people said, it's Henrik, the guy you're trash talking, and he was just his eyes and his face turned red, and I was gonna hit him a little bit to see if he felt the stress, and then obviously make sure that you understand that I don't take anything personal, and fully understandable. We had a chaotic release, so I took the beating and had some fun with him. It was quite hilarious, and I think he got quite spooked. He thought I was gonna ban him. So yeah, maybe we can do a raid to him, and we will bury that hatchet once and for all. What do you say? Who is he talking about? I'm talking about Sterdaki, or however you pronounce it. One of the guys that are streaming Mortal Online right now. He was joining the game on release and was new to the game, and obviously were disappointed being stuck in the queue time. Understandable so. So But yeah, we got past that chaos, and he's been playing quite a bit, I see, and seems to be enjoying the game, so that is awesome to see. But yeah, it was just funny how he was bashing so hard. He was so mad. He was bashing me for having the CEO title on my stream, and I thought it was hilarious because I got the request, who is this guy? And I thought, why not write who it is? But all right, enough about that ramble. I just thought it was a funny moment. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for subscription and all your questions and the support. And we have a very exciting patch on Monday, guys, that is very important for the servers and also obviously fixing a lot of important high prioritized bugs that are affecting a lot of the players. So again, thank you so much for being here with us on this journey, even though it's been a little rocky start, but there's no doubt that we will get there to those goals, and we have a very exciting future together in this unique game. Yeah, thank you so much again for everything, and I will keep running these Thursday streams on a weekly basis as long as you want me to stream them and find it interesting and enjoyable in one or other way. We'll keep doing them as long as we can. And yeah, I enjoy hanging out with you guys, and I hope you will have a wonderful evening and a great weekend, and we will hang in there until hopefully Monday, and then we'll have hopefully a solid patch with very good improvements. I'm gonna do a raid to our new friend Stardeki. And the name is with the donation. Holy shit, you and your team are doing great. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for that donation. The support you guys are giving is such an important factor, because, like, as I said, it may feel that it doesn't matter, but it does. When things are very hard and very stressful, it's easy to obviously get all the criticism and feedback on all the problems, because people care, we want to have it fixed. It's understandable, but it can be obviously very stressful. So when you also give that love, feedback and support, and just very kind words, believe it or not, it gives so much for me and the team. So thank you so much for that support. I can't express how important I think it is, because it makes a huge difference, and it gives such a positive energy to us, and it gives a lot of fuel, give us a lot of energy by doing that. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for that support and everything you do for us. That is just amazing. All right, guys, thank you so much again, and I will see you soon again. And let's do a little stream then. Just gonna see he's online, right? Yeah. All right. Okay. Have a good night, guys, and see you hopefully on Thursday again, and on Monday. I'm gonna jump into the game hopefully as well a little bit on Monday and try the new patch out, and maybe I see you guys. All right, have a good night, and join Stardeki. He's a nice guy. Give him some love as well, guys, and teach him the pros. He's a noob, mortal noob, so he needs to learn parry. So give him some pro tips. All right, have a good night, guys. Good night. Bye bye.